CCTV in nurseries. Have you heard of the growing push to make CCTV mandatory in nurseries across England? This is triggered by tragic events like the tragic death of baby Genevieve at Tiny Tots Nursery. Because of this, there's now serious momentum behind this safety measure. In this video, I'm going to take you through why CCTV is being considered as a must-have, the key privacy implications, and how to implement it the right way if your nursery chooses to install it or if legislation requires it. But before we get into that, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel Open Nursery with myself, Kurt Lianya, where I support you to open, run and grow your own childcare business. I'm the founder of Open Nursery UK, where I help nursery owners navigate complex regulations, prepare for Ofsted and run high quality child-centered environments. But now we're entering a crucial moment. The government is reviewing compulsory CCTV following high profile incidents and Ofsted concerns. So this video will give you the context behind the recent discussions, data protection and Ofsted expectations, policy templates and best practices, and the pros and cons balancing safety with privacy. So let's get started. Starting with the campaign for Gigi. In mid-2025, parents of 9-month-old Genevieve launched a nationwide campaign after she tragically died in a nursery while strapped face down on a beanbag. CCTV footage was critical to revealing the truth of what happened, showing the neglect and abuse that the staff had denied. It led to a manslaughter conviction. Without CCTV, the family says that the truth would never have emerged. These parents are now calling for mandatory CCTV in all nurseries, as well as routine unannounced Ofsted inspections and improved safe sleep training. The government are reviewing these demands and working with stakeholders including Ofsted and child health bodies. Ofsted are asking providers to explain how surveillance, if used, supports child welfare and that it's not used as a default or blanket measure. Surveillance must be justified, proportionate and respectful of children's rights. All of this means that CCTV is no longer just a security option. It's becoming a potential safeguarding priority. But there needs to be a balance between safety and privacy. CCTV captures personal data under GDPR and the Data Protection Act. Nurseries are considered data controllers, so they must comply fully with this. This means that they must conduct a data protection impact assessment before installing CCTV. They must register the system with the Information Commissioner's Office, or the ICO. They must ensure lawful, fair and transparent processing of data and install visible signage and provide privacy notices to adults entering view. Ofsted's surveillance guidance is clear. CCTV should never be used for blanket observation of children, and policy must show that CCTV is used for safeguarding or safety, not behavioural surveillance, and be sure that alternative and less intrusive methods aren't sufficient, and also ensure that adults are respected, including Human Rights Act considerations. CCTV can also implement some privacy risks. Over surveillance can make staff uncomfortable, harming relationships with children, can expose footage containing other parents or sensitive information, or can lead to data breaches or unauthorized disclosures. Privacy by design means limiting cameras to public communal areas, not toilets or intimate care zones. So what do you need to consider if you plan to implement CCTV? If you decide or are required to install CCTV, your policy should cover the purpose and transparency. Specify why CCTV is being used, example for safeguarding or security, and explain that footage may be used in Ofsted investigations or police inquiries. It should detail the location and visibility. Cameras should be visible and only in essential areas, for example entrances, halls, corridors or outdoor play zones, and never in changing or toileting areas. And signage should identify the nursery, purpose and contact to request footage. When storing and retaining footage should generally be retained for between 7 to 28 days depending on the space, and if required for an incident, footage can be retained for longer, but access must be logged and closely controlled. And you should detail who has access to it. Only authorized staff, for example managers, deputy managers, may view footage, and release to police or Ofsted only under formal conditions. Parents may request footage via subject access request, but only of their child, and footage containing others may be redacted before sharing. It's important that any footage is secure and there's some accountability, so all access to the footage must be logged. Footage stored must be secure, so for example password protected or limited user accounts, and policy should detail how breaches or misuse are handled. And then regularly review and audit your CCTV policy. The policy should be reviewed at least annually and audited to ensure compliance and prevent misuse. So should you implement CCTV or not? We'll quickly go over some pros and cons of doing this. Some pros is that it can be used in evidence in safeguarding cases, as in the case of baby Gigi. It can help as a preventive deterrent effect and act as a calm reassurance to parents and staff that conduct is monitored. And it also supports staff training after instances. Staff can review behaviour and procedures, and it becomes easier to reflect on their practice. Though some downsides is a risk of misuse or excessive monitoring, and staff may feel micromanaged or rushed. There's potential for possible GDPR violations if policies are absent or poorly handled, and children may behave unnaturally or view nurseries as sterile or institutional. Plus, there's also installation costs and maintenance overheads. Striking this balance means using CCTV as a tool, not a crutch, and ensuring you're always governed by policy. If you do plan to use CCTV in your nursery, make sure you follow these steps. Firstly, conduct a data protection impact assessment to evaluate whether CCTV is necessary and proportionate. Then create a written CCTV policy and share this with staff and families. Register the system with the ICO and pay any required fees, and then install clear signage at entrances and camera sites. Then train authorized staff who will access the footage and log access consistently, and set a retention period in your policy, for example 14 days unless preserved for incidences. Create a process to handle requests of footage, disclosures to police or security access requests, and audit usage annually. Review whether cameras are placed correctly, policy is followed, and access logs are accurate. And remember to seek parents or carers' consent at admission and inform them that CCTV is used in your nursery, why and how they can request access to it. And then simply regularly update your policy to include new staff, review system usage, and reflect legal updates. During inspections, although CCTV isn't currently mandatory, Ofsted will ask you how surveillance supports children's safeguarding. They may check whether CCTV represents a default monitoring culture or justified use. They will expect linkage between CCTV policy and your safeguarding and whistleblowing policies, and they will treat CCTV misuse or overly intrusive use as a potential compliance concern. So given recent calls for more unannounced inspections, having tech systems like CCTV can provide inspection evidence when asked. Though it's important to communicate any changes with parents and staff. For parents, explain the purpose of CCTV in welcome packs. Let them know where cameras are placed and how long footage is kept, and offer guidance on how to request footage or raise concerns. And highlight GDPR rights, including the ability to appeal or complain. For staff, train them during induction, tying CCTV usage to privacy and professional conduct, and explain their rights. Footage may record them, but only authorized staff can view it. And clarify that CCTV is not used for minor performance evaluation, only safety concerns. Remember, surveillance must be proportionate to risk. It cannot replace good staffing, training, or health and safety routines, and be cautious of creating a culture of distrust. Build transparency through clearest communication and ensure children are not treated as suspects. Ensure to guard their dignity and emotional space, and continue to review whether a less intrusive method, for example staff awareness or open door policies, could serve equally well. CCTV in nurseries is a complex and sensitive topic, and while it's not mandatory yet, the tide is turning faster towards a safety first mindset driven by tragic case law and strong parent advocacy. If your nursery is considering installation or updating your policies, this video should serve as a good starting point to learn about it. So I do hope you find this video useful. If you have, feel free to like it or comment with any questions or any suggestions for what you might like support with next, and subscribe for more compliance first support for nursery leaders, from funding to regulations, practical guides and caring operations. Remember, you're not just running a nursery, you're protecting lives, and that deserves a culture of accountability, clarity and compassion. So I want to finally thank you for watching, and good luck in your nursery careers. On the screen is a video that YouTube finds useful, so head over there to continue learning, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.